All right, today we're going to talk about something absolutely fascinating, natural language processing, or, as you'll probably hear it called, NLP. I mean, think about it. It's basically the science of teaching machines our most human trait of all, language.
So let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why you can have a full-on conversation with your phone, but you still have to jab at the buttons on your microwave? I mean, why is that? Well, that simple little question, it gets right to the heart of this huge communication gap we're trying to solve.
Well, that gap is there for a pretty simple reason. We speak two completely different languages. Our language, it's all about nuance, context, even emotion. It's fluid. But machines, they speak the cold, hard logic of code. Every single instruction has to be perfectly literal, perfectly logical. There's no room for kinda or sort of. So the big question is, how in the world do we get these two to understand each other?
The answer? We build a bridge. And in the world of AI, that bridge has a name: natural language processing. You can think of it as the ultimate universal translator, connecting our messy, human way of thinking with that super precise machine logic.
So to put it really simply, NLP is all about flipping the script. It's not about us having to learn to speak computer. It's about teaching computers to speak human, whether that's English, Spanish, Bengali, you name it. The end goal here is to make talking to a piece of technology feel just as natural as talking to a friend.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? Well, what's so cool about this is that we teach a machine language in almost the exact same way a child learns. It's a step-by-step process. First, you just give it a ton of words, right? The building blocks. Then it starts to figure out grammar, how to put those words together into sentences. Then comes the really hard part, getting it to understand what we mean, the context, the intent behind the words. And finally, the last step is for it to talk back, to generate a response that actually makes sense.
And here's the thing. This isn't some sci-fi far-off future stuff. No way. This language bridge is already here, and I guarantee you're using it every single day, probably without even thinking about it. I mean, anytime you shout, "Hey Siri, what's the weather?" or "Alexa, play my workout playlist." Boom, that's NLP in action. That little device is hearing your voice, figuring out what you want, and then making it happen. It feels so simple, but behind that seamless interaction is some seriously complex tech.
And then, of course, you've got the heavy hitters, tools like ChatGPT. And this is where things get really mind-blowing. Because these things don't just understand what you're saying, they can create language all on their own. You can ask it to write an email, a poem, heck, even a piece of code. Remember that final step we talked about, generation? Well, this is it, in all its glory.
And it goes way beyond just the cool gadgets in your house. NLP is basically the secret sauce for the biggest tech companies on the planet. I'm talking about Google, using it to figure out what you're really looking for. Meta, using it to sift through billions of posts. Netflix, trying to understand what you thought of their latest show. And Amazon, wow, they use it for everything from Alexa to digging through product reviews to figure out what people actually want.
But look, making our lives more convenient or helping companies sell more stuff, that's just scratching the surface. Mastering language is actually a core piece of the ultimate goal, the grand ambition of all artificial intelligence.
And that ambition has a name. Researchers call it the extreme dream of AI. The goal here isn't just to make better apps. It's to create an artificial system that's just as smart as a human, maybe even smarter. And think about it. What's more central to our intelligence than language? You can't get to that dream without mastering it first. It's an absolutely critical piece of the puzzle.
Okay, but as we're racing towards this future, we hit a really important, kind of tricky question. If we're going to teach machines to speak our language, which one? Which human language are we talking about?
Because you see, the world has had something like 7,000 different languages spoken throughout history. I mean, that's an incredible, beautiful tapestry of human culture. But when you look at the digital world, well, that incredible diversity starts to look a lot smaller.
And this right here is what we call the digital language divide. Just take a look. The overwhelming majority of data online, all the articles, the books, the websites that these AIs learn from, it's all concentrated in just a handful of languages, like English. We call these high-resource languages. And pretty much everyone else, they're considered low-resource. So what does low-resource actually mean? It just means there isn't enough digital stuff, text, audio, you name it, to properly train a big AI model. And this creates a huge digital disadvantage for literally billions of people whose native language, maybe something like Bengali or Swahili, just isn't a major player on the internet. And we need to be clear, The stakes here are incredibly high. This isn't just a technical glitch. It's about culture. It's about identity. I mean, take the Bengali language. It's the only language in history that people have actually sacrificed their lives for, fighting to keep it alive. That fight is now honored all over the world. So making sure that languages like Bengali don't get left behind in the age of AI, that's not just a tech problem. It's a fight for cultural survival. So, as we look to the future, the road ahead for NLP is all about facing some massive challenges head-on, so we can build a future that's not just amazing, but one that includes everyone.
And there are some big ones. First up, you've got misinformation and bias. I mean, these models learn from the internet. And let's be honest, the internet has some dark corners. Then there's what's called the black box problem. A lot of the time, we don't really know how the AI came up with its answer, which makes it really hard to trust. Plus, training these things takes a mind-boggling amount of energy, which is a huge environmental issue. And of course, the biggest one we've been talking about, making sure this tech works for everyone, not just for a handful of languages.
But it's not all challenges. The future trends here are genuinely exciting. We're talking about emotional AI, systems that can tell if you're happy or frustrated just from the sound of your voice. Imagine websites you just talk to instead of clicking around. That's going to be the new normal. And maybe the most important trend of all is this idea of human-AI collaboration, where AI isn't here to replace us, but to work with us, like a creative partner, making us better at what we do.
And all of this leaves us with one last really big question to think about. For our entire history, language has been uniquely ours. It's what makes us human. And now, we're on the verge of sharing that gift with machines we've created. So we really have to ask ourselves, when they can finally truly understand us, what are we going to choose to say?